From the News Channel 5 network, this is SportsLine.
Hey everybody, Jon Burton here. Welcome to SportsLine on this Wednesday evening. Glad to be with you for the next hour. Hey, if you didn't know by now, and you probably did, the Titans have their first preseason game coming up Friday night, just 2 nights from tonight, in Atlanta against the Falcons. That means the debut of Marcus Mariota. That means a lot of things. And who better to break it all down with than our good friend, the voice of the Tennessee Titans, finally in studio, Mike Keith. How are you, buddy?
It's good to be with you, Jon
Man,
Burton.
it's unbelievable.
Thank you for having me down.
Well, you know, a couple things I got to get off my chest. Number one, we've been trying to do this for over about a year now.
Right.
And, you know, there's been scheduling conflicts. You're a family man. You have responsibilities outside the radio booth. We understand that. But then you go on Talk of the Town before you go on your boy JB's Wednesday night extravaganza here on SportsLine.
There's a lot of ties there. Leland Statham and I went to college together.
I understand that.
Amy McLemore, who produces Talk of the Town, and I went to college together.
Wonderful lady.
She is a wonderful lady.
Wonderful lady.
And I got to be.
And Leland's a wonderful man.
And Leland is.
He is the unofficial mayor of Nashville. He's the unofficial governor of the state of Tennessee.
If he ran, there's
landslide.
No landslide. There would be no question.
All right.
But so I have connections to Merrill Rose, is somebody that I know and like, and so it was a nice opportunity. I was thrilled that they asked, but I'm thrilled to be here.
I was happy that you were on there, but here's the thing. All those people you mentioned were bragging to me.
Oh, were they?
We had Mike Keith on, and he talked about the Titans. So I'm like,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me make it up to you over the next 59 minutes.
All right. Mike Keith is here, 737-7767. Your 18th year with the Titans organization. Your 17th year you enter as play-by-play man. Is there a day that goes by where somebody doesn't yell out, "Hey, Mike, there's no flags on the field"? I mean, what did that, and we've talked about this before, I've asked you about this before, both on and off the air, but what did that moment, that call, what did it do for you in your career? I know you're a humble guy, but that launched you.
I was very lucky because I was in a position to call a play that's historical, that's remembered by our fan base in such a positive way, and it still resonates. And you're right. There are very few, certainly weeks, I can't say every day, but there's not a week that goes by that somebody doesn't tell a story or talk about it. And I was doing a visit the other day. I was having lunch, and a guy was telling me the story about we were on the ramp and we had left, and, you know. And you do have like 750,000 people who claim to have been there.
I was just going to say that because coming from Pittsburgh, everybody you meet was at the Immaculate Reception game. So now that I'm here in Nashville, everybody was at the Music City Miracle game, right?
Well, that whole sequence was just so special, Jon, because that was the first playoff appearance at what we now know as Nissan Stadium. You win that game in such dramatic fashion. You go to Indianapolis 8 days later and beat a Colts team you're not supposed to beat. You go to Jacksonville and you beat a Jacksonville team for the third time, and then you play this unbelievable Super Bowl, and all this happens in 22 days.
Right.
And there was so much that happened at that time that was just so special. And that era has passed now, obviously, but you get kind of a special feeling again about where this franchise is going. And when I talk to the fan base, and they're saying, man, I can't wait for this year. I can't wait to see what they're going to look like. Nobody's necessarily making any bold predictions, but I think everybody just gets a feeling that it's going in a direction.
There's a plan now.
And going towards a direction to back where it was in those early days of the Titans in Nashville.
You know, and after 2-14, I mean, I'm sure you heard it. I heard a lot of people, like back in February, March, saying, you know what? I'm done with this team. I don't want to pay for season tickets anymore. I mean, 2-14, not just 2-14, but just the way the 2-14 happened. I mean, they were non-competitive in a lot of these games, and that turned a lot of people off.
Well, we had big-time personnel problems at the end of the year. And, you know, when you're playing guys at left tackle that you signed 4 days before, and you're going through musical quarterbacks because somebody's hurt all the time, and the defense is being left on the field for long periods of time because the offense can't stay out there, unfortunately. There was just nothing that was coming together. And what happens in a league of 32 teams who all have the same salary, all have the same number of players, all are in the same draft, is when it rolls the wrong way, it really rolls.
Yeah.
And you see it. You saw the Houston Texans 2 years ago start 2-0 and end up 2-14.
Yeah.
And they weren't really a 2-14 team. They were a team that just had it slide the wrong way. In our case, I don't think we were really a 2-14 team. I'm not saying we were a playoff team, but everything had rolled the wrong way. And coming on the heels of the years that we had, it was especially frustrating for the fan base. So to see this 180 turn that we're feeling right now among the fans, for me, it's heartwarming because our fans deserve it. They deserve a winner. They've hung with us. And to see them say, man, we got a quarterback, we got a left tackle, Dick LeBeau's here, we got a lot of good things happening in Nashville right now. It makes me really, really happy, and I'm just as excited as they are.
If you want to talk to Mike Keith, it's 615-737-7767. Mike is not a part of the Twitter generation. You do not tweet, correct?
I don't.
Okay. Well, all right.
I don't have much to say.
Well, people want to hear from you, man.
But I just don't have a lot to say.
Well, hit me up on Twitter at Jon Burton 32 if you have a question for Mike Keith, or give us a call. Are you ready for our first call?
Let's roll.
It's the guy I was telling you about.
It's Philip.
My frenemy. Not my friend. He's not my enemy.
He's my favorite caller.
Philip, good evening. Mike Keith is here. What do you got?
Mike Keith, you realize that you are sitting next to the best sportscaster in Nashville, Tennessee.
Wow.
I know where I am.
Hey, Mike Keith, serious question. You own the Tennessee Titans. You could have primetime Deion Sanders in his prime, or Bo Jackson in his prime.
Ooh, tough one.
Which player do you take?
Bo Jackson.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. I do not kid.
Mike Keith does not kid. He does not lie.
Deion Sanders single-handedly shut down a football field in half. I'll cover this side of the field. You other 10 guys cover the other side of the field.
That's great. You do that, and I'll pitch it to Bo Jackson and run over it.
He'd go 95 yards for a touchdown.
Because there's no way Deion's even trying to tackle Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson is one of the most special football players, obviously one of the most special athletes that I've ever seen. Love Deion Sanders, love cover corners, but there's nothing like Bo Jackson in the NFL right now. Maybe Adrian Peterson at 25. I don't know about Adrian Peterson at 30. We'll see. But Bo Jackson is one of the most unusual players that we'll ever see. And my feeling is you got to have guys score touchdowns. People with their hands on the ball are the most special. I think, my opinion, greatest football player in NFL history is Jim Brown. I love quarterbacks, but you give me a running back that's a different dimension like Bo Jackson, that's where I'm going.
Thanks for the call, Philip.
That's a great question, though.
Yeah, Philip was like well behaved. That's very surprising. 737-7. Yes. You got to watch the show more often. Philip and I go at it. 737-7767. We got so much to talk about with Mike Keith, the voice of the Titans. We're going to get into Mariota. We're going to get into how this team shapes up, what to expect in the first preseason game this Friday night in Atlanta. But back to the phones. Is it Anna or Hannah? Sorry. What is it?
Anna.
Oh, okay. Welcome to the show. You're on with Mike Keith.
I'm sure you can relate to what I'm going to suggest. The Titans don't seem to have a communication scout that listens to the announcers when they say, hey, he ought to throw the flag on that play. The ref's missing it. I can't tell you how many games I've watched with other teams, and no sooner does the announcer say he ought to throw the flag than he's throwing the flag. But many times watching the Titans, you'll have the announcer saying, why won't he do something about this? Why won't he throw the flag? And the team is getting upset.
Oh, okay. She's talking about you're talking about the challenge flag, right?
Yeah, that's what she's talking about.
Yeah, on replays and stuff. I was like...
Usually, if you listen to the announcers, they know what's going to fly or not fly is a mistake. And they'll be saying, throw the flag, throw the flag. And he just totally ignores it.
Well, I'll tell you, let me just say...
Thanks for the call.
It's a good call, and I appreciate you feeling like that announcers have wisdom in that way. But the difficulty for the sideline to the booth and the coaching staff is they really don't have time to listen to the announcers. They're talking back and forth. What they can see is a very limited view in terms of what the television replay is showing. They don't have sometimes a lot of specialty angles or anything. So they have to make that decision so fast. I just don't think they'd have time to listen to the announcers and see all of the replays, because from the time the ball a play ends, there's 40 seconds to the next play. And that sounds like a lot of time, but it's really not when you've got 18 people often talking over one another, trying to determine, hey, should we throw the flag or not? Because it's such a big thing. If you throw the challenge flag and you miss, you lose a timeout. It's particularly big in the second half. You lose a timeout, and you also put yourself in a position where you just have one challenge remaining max. And
that could burn you.
It could burn you badly. Absolutely.
The voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, is here taking your phone call, 737-7767. When we come back, we're going to talk about the guy everybody's talking about, Marcus Mariota, as he gets set to make his NFL debut Friday night in Atlanta. Don't go away. We're coming right back.